So today we are working on this G37 and we're going to be replacing these rear brakes. I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to do that. We will be doing disc and brake pads, so I'm going to show you how to do both. It's not just a pad slap, we're going to do the rotor as well. Of course, we will start by removing the wheel. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to release some of the pressure that's going to be on this caliper. Another thing to keep in mind is if you do have the e-brake pulled up on the vehicle, remember to disengage it because you won't be able to remove the rotors. So now we're going to go ahead and release some of that pressure, and what I like to do is use this clamp. You could use a screwdriver and pry this open, and you're gonna want to compress this piston. So basically what you're doing is you're compressing the piston that's in this caliper so it can release the brake pad, because right now it's squeezing the rotor together. So when you brake, this pad squeezes against the rotor and it creates friction, and it starts to reduce the speed of the rotor and you get to stop. So right now I have completely, oh, just dropped my light. So right now I have completely collapsed that piston in there. You can see there's so much play, and now I'm going to go ahead and remove these two bolts that are right here holding this upper bracket on. So that's, I guess you would consider that the caliper. So just going to pop these loose, and I'm currently using a 14mm ratchet wrench. You could use a ratchet socket, that works just fine, or whatever you have. So remember with these, you're going to have to twist and pull back. So I'm twisting and I'm pulling back, and here it goes. So we're going to keep those right here, and this is the part that I was talking about. So there's a cylinder in here, and that gets compressed back. This is filled with fluids all in here, and when you press on the brake pedal, fluid gets exchanged into here, into this chamber, and then it compresses the brake pads together, creating friction, stopping your vehicle. So you're going to want to inspect that boot and make sure everything looks like it's in good working order. There's no cracks, it's not coming apart, it's not leaking. If it's leaking, replace it, maintenance it, replace the caliper if you have to. Sometimes you will find that you're trying to compress this cylinder back in and you cannot, it's seized. It's time for a new caliper at that point. So there's nothing really you could do. I have had minor success with unseizing calipers. It's just time for a new one. So keep that in mind. If you do find them that they're stubborn and they won't compress, they're bad. So that will give you a locking up of one of the hubs, one of the brake pads. So here we have the pads, and I just simply pulled out from one side and pulled out from this side. So here we have the pads, and you can see that we have worn them out, and there's kind of an uneven wear on here. So we're gonna make sure that we lube up these sliders, because a lot of the times this is what will cause that uneven wear, is these sliders are not properly lubricated. So we're going to make sure that we lube these up before we install them. But now that we have all this taken apart, we're going to remove this bracket. It is a 19. So I recently had this whole system taken apart, and this is the second time me trying to film this video. So everything might seem like it's relatively easy to take apart, and it's because it's loose. Okay, so quick story is we got the wrong rotors for the second time actually, and there's a lot of mismatching in this vehicle. This was a vehicle that we picked up for very cheap, and it was cheaply put together by its previous owner. So it has a lot of hacking going on. These are actually the 13-inch rotors instead of the 12-inch rotors The 13-inch rotors come with the sport package, and this isn't the sport package. So the rotors we ordered were too small. And the other thing is these calipers, these are designed for the non-sport package, and yeah, there's a lot of mismatch. These calipers really don't go with these rotors, but that's what's on there. So keep that in mind when you're working on something that has been put together. You might have parts that don't match. Okay, so I have removed these two bolts. This is what it looks like. There's one in the top, one in the bottom. You remove them, the bracket comes out, and once you have the bracket out, you can remove the rotor just like that. So here it is, relatively easy. This is what I was saying, that inside here there's brake pads as well. These are kind of designed like the old school drum brakes. This is your emergency brake system. This works with cable, not hydraulic fluid. So this is what you have to keep in mind. Don't have that e-brake on, you won't be able to remove the rotor. So this is the part of the video that I always say, compare your parts, make sure that you have the right stuff. And when I tried to record this the first time, I did not have the right parts. So I have the rotors and I'm matching them up, and I can see that they are the same length now. Before they were too small. So these are the correct ones for my application. I will have both links in the description. I'll have the 12-inch rotors because I ordered those, and I have the 13-inch rotors right now being installed. And I picked them up at Amazon, and they're way cheaper than your local parts store. I could guarantee it. So I'm putting them on. I think they're going to be just fine. If you're doing any type of hot rodding, that you're doing some racing and you have cross drilled and slotted rotors, well, I guess you'll be looking at Z1 at that point or something like that. But these are going to work just fine for what we need. So here we have the disc brake. Here we have the rotor, and it's very important to clean this very thoroughly because it comes with oils from the manufacturer. That's to keep it from rusting, of course, but you don't want to contaminate those brake pads with any of this oil because it's going to contaminate it and it won't do its job. It won't have enough friction to grip and grab and stop the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and clean this with some brake cleaner. So this is just regular brake cleaner, but another thing to keep in mind is you want to clean the inside of this rotor right here, because this is where your emergency brake pads are going to be pushing against. So you want to make sure you clean the inside as well. This is something that people forget to do. They just kind of do the outside of the back and then the front, and they forget to clean this part. So very important, clean all of it. Clean all this. This part, not so much. It's just in here, right here, in here. So let's go ahead and do that. I am doing this in a garage. I do have my vents on. I have 2 heavy-duty vents, but it's brake cleaner, it's heavy-duty stuff, it's smelly. Do it in a ventilated area, and to tell you the truth, I don't smell this stuff anymore. Alright, so we have the rotor on there, and we're basically almost done already, believe it or not. So right now you're going to have the option when it comes to putting this bracket back on. You're going to have the option to whether or not to clean the hardware that's in here. You're going to see there's metal hardware inside here. So you're going to have the option to clean it with a wire brush, and that's what I like to do because this hardware that's been on here already, it fits better. So usually when I install the new stuff, I have a hard time making it fit right. You're going to have to bend it and tweak it, and sometimes it just doesn't fit correctly. That's just what I have seen from time to time. Every time I go do a brake job, I try to use the hardware and it doesn't fit correctly. So I got tired of messing with that, and I just clean it with a wire brush just like this. We just lost our little boot. We'll put it back on in a second. And I wipe everything away and I re-lube everything back up. So we're just taking off any of the grime that's in there, brake dust, whatever it's in there, just removing it. So now I'm going to use this caliper lube, and it works very well. I picked this up in my local parts store, but I'm sure you could pick this up on Amazon as well. So now I'm going to lube up the hardware, and I just put a little bit here, a little bit on each side. I'm not putting too much, just enough to lube things up. And this is where a lot of your noise will hide. It will hide inside here, and it will hide on the actual brake pad touching the back of this cylinder and the front of the bracket. It'll start vibrating and giving you a bunch of brake noise, a bunch of squeaking and weird stuff. So it's important to lube this up. I like to dab it in with my finger just like that, just to make sure I have it spread evenly. And if there is any excessive lube, just simply wipe it away from the edges, because remember, the rotor does rotate inside here. It will spin inside there, and you don't want to pick up any of that lube and smear it on your brake pads, because that's basically defeating the purpose of your brake system. So you don't want to lube that up. So now that we have this lubed and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and install it, and I'm going to install it back with these two nuts. Now, you do have the option to use Loctite. I like to use blue in this situation because later on I will service it, but you could use red. I have used red. Back when I was doing police vehicles, I would use red because those guys are hard on brakes, and you don't want that hardware, any of the brackets coming loose while they're under all that stress. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some blue Loctite and send these home. So I'm pretty sure I'll get a comment, do you need the Loctite? You don't. This is just an extra insurance, you know, just to keep everything holding and from coming loose. Okay, so now we're ready for the brake pads, and pay attention to these. Sometimes with some manufacturers, they will have them labeled. Like this one says right hand inner. Okay, so that's gonna go in the right side, this side, in the inner, and then it says outer. So you're gonna find the match, and you're gonna make sure you do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it the way it says. And they're very easy to put. You can see, piece of cake. So we could move on to the next phase, and now it's time to assess the lubrication to the caliper itself. So you will dab it a little bit with some lubrication on here, and I like to put a little bit back here as well in the inside where the pad is going to have contact with this metal bracket. So I just put a little bit and I smeared it on, and I'm putting everything even the same way. And now I get to install it onto the brake pad. If you find out that you're trying to install this caliper and you can't, and it's too tight, you haven't collapsed the piston all the way, you haven't pushed back the piston, and you have to collapse it even more. They do make special tools. I'll put a picture up right now so you can see what I'm talking about. But you could use a pair of channel locks with a brake pad inside there and squeeze it, or the clamp like I showed you. Either way, it'll work fine. There's many ways on how to do this. My way is not the only way, but this is the way I have gotten used to doing brakes, and it works relatively well. So here is the slider pins. So these do get lubrication as well, and it's very important to lubricate them because you want them to move freely in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and lube up this one, and there is a top and a bottom for this situation. So the one without the rubber goes in the top. So I have it in there. And now we get to install the bottom one. So here's the last one, and it does have a little rubber piece in the end of it. We're gonna just lube it up just like that. Now, I have discovered that sometimes the rubber piece makes it a little bit difficult of installing it. You might have to play with it, twist it, and then push it in. If that happens to you, then I'm sorry, I feel you. Been there. It's not fun. So. All right, so we have this side done. Now I have to do the other side. If you want to stick around and see what I discovered in the other side, what happened by installing the wrong rotor, this is how the vehicle came, but I'll show you what I discovered. Stick around for that and I'll show you. If this is it for you, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that before you take your car out, you pump the brakes. Make sure you have enough fluid in the back of these brake pads, in the back of the caliper, because I have seen what happens when someone doesn't pump the brakes after doing brakes and you can't stop and you run into things. I've seen it. It's not good. Trust me. I'm not gonna say who it was, but it's not good, trust me. So pump the brakes. Just sit there, pump it 1, 2, 3 times, and then once you have a good pedal, then you continue. Now, something I am gonna say, I never release any of the fluid back here. You don't have to release the fluid back here in the caliper. If you did that, then you're gonna have to bleed the system. So I didn't release any fluid here. I just compressed it back and I installed the brake pads, and here it is, it's done. So it's an easy job, but let's go ahead and get to the other side. If this is it for you, thank you so much. Consider subscribing and we'll see you in the next one. If anybody else wants to see the hot mess that I discovered, then just stay tuned. If you stuck around for the good stuff, here we go. Let me take these off. All right, so check this out. Look at these brake pads. So the rotor is too small. This rotor is a 12-inch rotor and it is designed for this model, but the whole subframe, everything has been swapped out back here. This is what I'm guessing, and these rotors don't match the brake system. So they removed the sport package. They didn't install the sport package, but they installed these 12-inch rotors on this side, and then the other side it had the 13-inch rotors. That's what I have discovered so far. So look at that. If you're seeing that you have the wrong rotor size, don't continue. Don't go past go. Don't collect 200. Stop and figure something out, because basically they're sitting like this. So that isn't any good. I mean, this makes great content when we discover it, but it's just nuts. It's nuts that people are putting their cars together in pieces like this. But hey, you know what? Do what you got to do, I guess. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.